Hello, I'm Maciej Mikos and you're watching World Talks. It's another day of students' protests in Serbia. Will they achieve their goal of snap elections? To talk about it, we're joined by our guest, Professor Dušan Spasojević from the Faculty of Political Studies at the University of Belgrade. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Professor, so what's the current situation in Belgrade? Are the students out in the streets?
Well, at the moment, just like 10 or 15 minutes ago, the new big protest organized by Belgrade students began. It is oriented on their position on educational policies. And as far as I can get, there are many people on the streets. So we are still in some sort of political crisis. And at the moment, we don't see the clear way out.
So it's not like the students are still protesting against the lack of transparency in the canopy collapse case, right? The thing that happened in Novi Sad more than a year ago, but it has clearly transformed into something else now.
Well, now they're more something that looks like political party, although they would be very upset with these words using for them. So they transform their movement into political organization. And they are demanding snap parliamentary elections. That happened before the summer break, let's say in May or June. And at the moment, polls are showing that they are the key political force in society, probably estimating between 30 and 40% of the general population. So that's the stage at the moment. They demanded the snap elections. The government refused. They tried to put some more pressure, but they failed. And at the moment, we are waiting, so to say.
Right. So it's not that likely that they will get what they want. That is snap elections, even despite the fact that 40% of Serbians support this movement.
Well. Before the summer break, we expected that students will put more pressure on the government. And let's say in March or April of the last year, Serbia was in such a deep crisis that we could expect the government to resign, that we could go for a snap elections. But at this point in time, it seems that the government has been stabilized. And it's more probable that we will have the elections toward the end of this year or the beginning of the next one. That is also what President Vučić said in the number of occasions. But of course, we can never know with him. He's always ready for the election, so he might surprise us. But from the perspective of a student movement, it looks like they are not able to put enough pressure on him to, let's say, to force him to give the elections.
Professor, you say that students' protests have transformed somehow into a political movement, if not a party. Now, are there clear leaders among them, someone who could replace President Vučić?
No. From the beginning, students created a faceless movement. They insisted on lack of leaders. They're based on plenums, on direct democracy. So, of course, there are members of the movement who are more influential, but that is well hidden from the public. And also, if their demand for the parliamentary elections, they will not run themselves. They will present the list of candidates, which will be made of professors, lawyers, athletes, people from different social groups who supported them in the last year and a half, which means that none of them will become let's say, the face of the change or the face of the movement. And that is kind of a good strategy for the contemporary Serbian society, and also a strategy that prevents government from targeting them individually.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you think that the protests will continue until the very end, until President Vučić steps down, or is there maybe something that could appease the students? You know, like sort of a compromise between these two forces?
I think at the moment there is no space for compromise. I think the Serbian government is, the democratic backsliding in Serbia is so deep that there is no possibility for redemocratization within a particular framework. So I think we are looking for elections as a way out. The question about the protests, it's very hard. At some points in time, it looks like they will never come down. And then the last few weeks, we are in kind of peaceful period. But any day, thing can happen that can trigger them again. So I'm expecting that up to the next parliamentary elections, Serbia will remain a very unstable society.
Now, so how is this tense political situation affecting the everyday life of Serbians?
Well, that's a difficult question. For parts of society that are involved with students, who supported students, there is an ongoing repression by the regime. For example, a number of professors from University of Belgrade and Novi Sad got sacked during the last several weeks. There is also pressure on the civil society and media outlets. But then in the rest of the society, life is more or less business as usual, with exception of oil company crisis that is under U.S. sanctions, and that we are kind of expecting them to be bought by a Hungarian mall company. More or less, we are back to businesses as usual, and it seems like Serbia is kind of split in two halves, which to some extent remind us the last years of Slobodan Milošević rule back in the 90s, where you could live a completely normal life, more or less normal, if you are part of the regime and you have specific conditions, and you could be targeted on daily basis if you belong to the other half of society.
Talking about two halves and about business as usual, Professor, but very shortly, is Serbia to hold its fence-sitter position, as we call it, after next elections, or would it rather pivot towards the West and the EU?
I would say that Serbia would get closer to the West and EU compared to current position, but also, to be very honest, students are very colorful between themselves, and they try to avoid aligning with any, let's say, foreign force influencing Serbian politics ever since they started their protests. So it is a question to be answered probably after the fall of the Vučić regime, once it happens.
Professor Dušan Spasojević from the Faculty of Political Studies at the University of Belgrade was our guest this afternoon. Thank you very much, Professor.
You're welcome.
And thank you for watching, and stay with us for more interviews here on TVP World.